Hello and welcome to Talking Game. The first pre-season friendly has just finished. Well, it was the fourth pre-season friendly for Altach, which, to give context, we may need that. And it was the first one for West Ham United. It's ended in a victory. 3-2 win for West Ham. We're going to touch on the goals. We're not going into too much details, but give our thoughts on what we thought from the friendly if you haven't seen it already. We didn't have to wait long. West Ham scored in the 6th minute. Carlos Sanchez, corner from Robert Snodgrass, and he headed it in. And Charlie, what did you make of West Ham's start and formation as expected? 4-3-3 or 4-1-4-1 as people call it, but I call it 4-3-3.
Yeah, 4-3-3 as well for me. I think we started okay. I think we were better going forward down specifically the left-hand side than we were defensively. I was a bit concerned that sometimes when Altach went forward, I think they deserve credit for their close passing. I think was very good. Their link-up play between some of them midfielders especially was very good. And we didn't have too many answers for that. But specifically the two, if you're thinking about the two that are ahead of the one in the three, I thought were very good. And I thought they sort of, when we got them on the ball, I think we did a lot better. But without a striker, it sort of limited the way we could play a little bit, I think.
Ogbonna, good defending, and after about 10-12 minutes, he sort of saved two chances, not quite on the line, but the striker had decent opportunities after Carlos Sanchez lost the ball in dead man's land. 25th minute, though, Mark Noble with a lovely ball over the top, Michail Antonio one-on-one. Sort of went past the goal. He not really round him. He went sideways and then muscled the keeper out of the way and rolled it home. Gonzo's strange for Pellegrini starting up front when you have Hugo as well as Fernandes, a natural striker. Is that perhaps a sort of a message to Hugo and perhaps the board to an extent, i.e. I only have one striker, I don't have two?
Yes and no. I don't think he needs to send a message to the board. I think they know. Was it more to do with actually Hugo's not going to feature at all? Maybe that might have been something to do with it. But then again, he brought Byron on, who clearly is not going to feature from him. Actually plays two right backs at left back today, didn't he? The Antonio goal, he's not scoring that in the Premier League, I don't think. But I do think it was a pass of good vision from Noble. We know Noble can do that. Very high press from the defence, who were very high up the pitch. He did it, Antonio, a bit clumsy, but it's I mean, he won't want to be playing there. He would have wanted to be playing that first half on the right wing where Snodgrass was playing, wouldn't he? So needs must, if things continue and we don't get a striker, then Antonio may well find himself featuring as a forward next season. So I guess he needs to play there a little bit just in case we don't sign anyone.
2-1 after half an hour. Altach, lovely little move down our right-hand side, and someone was left unmarked in the box, basically, 10 yards out, made it 2-1. Then Anderson had a nice little chip headed off the line just before half-time. Charlie, what did you make of the first half? Who stood out for you? There was obviously 8 changes, so basically we didn't really see many of the same people. So who impressed you in the first 45?
I really liked both Noble and Lanzini. I thought they've had really good games together. Not Gonzo's already mentioned it, but Noble's pass for Antonio's goal was very, very good. We know he's got him in it. We know he's got it in him, but he showed it really well. And I think Lanzini didn't look like someone who's just come off a particularly long injury. Potentially what you said many, many times about that being his preseason and now he'll be a bit more on point was true, because I think his close control was there. His passing was there. At times was really actually very, very good. There was one particular one with the outside of his boot where he played it out to Anderson. I think it was, which was really good. And Antonio, I think Antonio deserves credit. Sort of put in a weak, dodgy position for him in a sense, because we just sort of seem to be lumping it long to him a lot of the time, which is a bit unfortunate. But despite how clumsy that first touch was, it wasn't exactly Berbatov. He does really well, and I think he deserves credit for that first half performance.
Gonzo, you've seen bits and pieces throughout the first half. Who stood out for you? Who impressed you, etc.?
Well, nobody really, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought we were pretty poor just all round, as I would expect. Let's just mitigate that. I don't expect brilliance. I think we're clumsy. I think we look like we're lacking fitness, as you would expect, and that was really telling. I didn't know they played 4 games. That was their 4th game. So I have limited interest in it, Gio, but I was interested to see Ben Johnson today, and he made some mistakes. Everybody made mistakes, by the way, today in that team. I thought it was absolutely littered with mistakes. As I said, I would expect it. But I was pleased to see him. And I don't think he did any worse on the left than Fredericks did on the right, if you know what I mean. I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing a lot more of Ben Johnson. I thought it was a big thing for us today. Noble was, as Charlie indicated, Noble was just doing his normal thing, seemed relatively in control of midfield, although the opposition, the big fella that almost scored when Sanchez gave him the ball, the double save from Ogbonna. I thought that guy was giving our midfield duo a little bit of trouble. Not overly impressed with anyone in the first half, though, I've got to say, although Anderson did show real glimpses of his class, and Lanzini showed what he could do as well, but obviously it was just fractured with lots of giving the ball away as well.
I thought Noble, Lanzini and Anderson stood out in the first 45. I thought they looked fit, if you know what I mean. They looked like they were there. But to be honest, you could argue they sort of, maybe not Anderson, but Noble and Lanzini knew who was coming on in the second half, and they know they've almost got to scrap to get their place in the lineup. They've also got 25 million for Niles away to turn up at some point, so they've got to make an impression now, and I thought that shone through. I thought Snodgrass and Sanchez were a bit off the pace. I think Snodgrass has lost some pace, which, you know, he wasn't the paces ever. But, you know, something, it's because he was played in the right wing position. It's not his position. He didn't really look great there last season anyway, so I'm not going to judge him playing right wing. He's a centre midfielder for us now. He's at that stage where he can't rely on pace. So let's get him in the middle. And I think Antonio up front was Pellegrini, maybe testing him as a third choice striker, a makeshift striker who needed to be at some point. I actually thought Fredericks did okay, actually. I was impressed by him getting forward. I thought too often he was having to say to someone, get out there and help me a little bit. He didn't really get much cover, whoever was in front of him. Snodgrass, Anderson was there at some point. But yeah, Anderson, Lanzini, Noble for me. 8 changes at half-time. The most notable 2, if you like. Jack Wilshere coming back in, and Winston Reid back from a 16-month layoff as well. We didn't have to wait long before it was 2-2. Gonzo, this is where your man arguably makes a mistake, though. You could say he got fouled, but you could say he got shrugged off.
Who's that? Who are we talking about there?
Ben Johnson.
Oh, he did. Yeah, very much so. He did get shrugged off. I did. Yeah, he did make a mistake. He was culpable for that. But I would mitigate that by saying he is a right back, and my point really was I'd like to have seen him at right back. Wouldn't imagine my point being Fredericks playing at left back. I'm not sure you would have seen anything different at all there. And he looks to have really grown. He looks to have really filled out, Ben Johnson, and he plays without fear. But he certainly was shrugged off, and I thought it was an easy goal for them, certainly. But there were I found a lot more to get me teeth into in the second half, a lot more points of interest. As I say, Johnson was really only in the first half, but I thought the second half I was more interested to see 3 in particular, which was Wilshere, Reid, and Yarmolenko in particular. I was interested to watch.
I think Johnson needs to make mistakes like that, to be honest with you. There's no point in him cruising through games without making any errors. He doesn't learn anything. You might get a little bit of confidence for him, but he'll actually come out better for making errors like that than he will for making no errors, if that makes sense. He needs to do stuff like that. And I think he had a good first half, but I think he had a poor second half, Johnson. I think there was a couple of times he got caught out. His lack of experience showed, if you like. He took a heavy touch at one point and they took the ball off him and countered and stuff. He needs to make those mistakes, because the next game he won't make it. If someone does that to him in the Premier League, he will be taught and told, you bring him down and you take a booking at the side of the pitch. You do not let someone come into your box like that. And maybe in a competitive game he would have done. And while Carlos Sanchez got a booking and was pretty bad in the first half, he did the exact thing that Johnson didn't do, which was when there was a counter attack, he thought, well, I'm going to take this guy down, just concede a free kick and get a booking for it. Johnson will learn from that. It's a good error to make. Charlie, we made it 3-2. Another corner. I was played short by Wilshere. He got it back. Lovely cross in, and somehow Issa Diop managed to crouch down on the edge of the 6-yarder in the middle of the box and just guide it in. 3-2, lovely goal. But more importantly, perhaps the man that put the assist in.
Yeah, it was a really good ball by Wilshere. I thought the 2 crossed goals that we had, the 2-headed goals, they were both really, really nice balls, perfectly put into the box. And like you say, I don't know, Diop's very tall, so he had to go even lower than most people. I don't understand what he was doing that, but fair enough, he put it in the net, so I don't really think. Altach were very bad in the air in general. That both of the goals that we headed in, they just sort of looked like they didn't know those football players existed in the world, let alone on the pitch. But Diop does very well. And like you say, Wilshere put in a really good ball, and I think that was indicative of his entire half, because I thought Wilshere had an excellent second half.
Gonzo, what's your thoughts on the players' performances?
Yeah, I mean, Wilshere that's why I mentioned him before. I think most of the time I watch football matches and Jack Wilshere plays, he looks like the best player on the pitch. It's getting him to play. That's the problem. He's absolute class. His first touch, the way he will pass the ball between people's legs, or a nutmeg, should we call it? It's absolutely sensational. I'm really looking forward to him playing. I hope he can stay injury free. If he can, I'm pretty damn sure he's in the team regardless of anybody else. That guy is in the team. Was nice to see Reed back. It was really good. I wasn't watching anything overly in particular. I was interested in him take his position at left centre back, which is the position he's traditionally played. I was actually just watching him run and pass and thinking, okay, that's nice. He's doing it. He wasn't pulling up. He didn't look languid or anything like that. I liked seeing Diangana. Again, I thought he lost as much as he gained, as much as half his stuff didn't come off, but half of it did. And I thought he looked fresh and inventive. There was one particular flick over some geezer's head, which I thought was really, really good. I was pleased to see that. So he looks like he's enjoyed his rest over the summer. Looking forward to seeing a little bit more of him. Yarmolenko was one I was really looking to watch. Clearly a man with quality. He's got a lot of work to do, though. It's the start. And he is going to be not fit at this point, but there's been a narrative throughout the summer that Wilshere has been working all through the summer. We've been seeing clips, hasn't he? All through the summer, he's been going into training grounds, he's been running, he's been stretching, he's been doing all his stuff. He looks fit, he looks ready to go. Yarmolenko looks skillful, he's got good ball control, he plays with his head up. I think he's going to need to put a lot more fitness and athleticism in. There's a lot of work to do for him.
Charlie, what's your thoughts on the players' performances in the second half?
It's the two people who replaced Noble Lanzini in Wilshere and Cullen that impressed me most. Cullen had a more quiet game than Wilshere. I thought Wilshere really controlled it and was way more involved in the game than most other players on the pitch. But I thought Cullen also, when he had the opportunities, played some really nice passes and linked up again very well. Diangana, I think, played very well. Looked more, I don't know what the word would be, but he just looked like he was ready for the game. He looked like he knew he had something to gain. He knew he had something to earn. And I thought actually Byron played well as well. After coming on, I felt he worked really well, both going forward and defensively. There were a couple of big challenges he put in at the back, which he absolutely nailed. Might not have done it in other situations, but in that one he definitely did. And going forward, I thought he looked equally strong, linking up well with Diangana, linking up well with Cullen. And there was one chance where he managed to get in around the back, I think via Wilshere maybe, and a slightly better ball across the box, and Hernandez gets a goal. So I think he deserves a lot of credit as well.
It was via Diangana. It was a 1-2 that he did with Diangana. Byram, I thought, did okay, but the difference between Sam Byram and possibly the rest of the team, Byram's clinging on by his fingernails to a place at West Ham United, being sold, etc. Perhaps he's playing for a move. He's trying to get his transfer to Nottingham Forest or whatever. I think he's got a lot more to prove than the rest of them. You know, Jack Wilshere's got nothing to prove. All he's got to prove is his fitness. He doesn't have to prove his quality, nothing like that. Byram's got to prove almost everything. He's been injury prone from the word go, so he's got to prove that. There's doubts of his ability. He's got to prove that. You know, he's arguably a right back with 3 right backs ahead of him in the squad. You know, it's very difficult for Sam Byram. He's in a position where I'm not sure he can sort of change what the future holds for him a little bit. I was maybe surprised to see him get a chance, actually. I'm maybe surprised to see Pellegrini put him on. But I'll tell you what, Creswell's injured again. He's got another injury on his knee. That's why Creswell wasn't involved tonight. So Pellegrini's probably thinking, hang on a minute, I've got 2 left backs here. I'm not even that convinced over the long-term left back at West Ham. And one of them's injury prone as well. He's probably thinking, I need a 3rd choice left back. Ben Johnson might be the answer. So if you're only going to get £1 million for Sam Byram, Pellegrini might just be weighing up and thinking, actually, you know what, it'd be just as well keeping him in and around the squad, keeps the homegrown numbers up, etc., etc. Diangana impressed me. Last season, at the end of last season, his confidence was gone. It was shot. It was like a ghost of the Diangana we first saw. When he first came onto the scene, he was fearless. He was going at defenders. Then when we saw him at the end, he couldn't wait to get the ball away quick enough. He was playing the simple passes. But today, it was almost like he knew he was better than his immediate opponent. He thought, you know what, I'm going to skin you every opportunity. I'm going to do these passes. I'm going to do this. And he stepped up a little bit today. But Jack Wilshere, unbelievable. He is just I don't know. You two have already said, I'm not going to go on, but he ran that game from start to finish, by far the most impressive player. I thought Yarmolenko, to just add to what Gonzo said, was very frustrating to watch. And I think Yarmolenko is actually getting frustrated with himself as well. I think he thought, I can take on 3 or 4 of these players. And actually, he took on 2 of them. But the third one, we tackle him, you could see him thinking, he was always trying too hard, actually, I thought, Yarmolenko. Wilshere was just doing the simple things, the drop of a shoulder and a pass and stuff. And I think Yarmolenko can do that. And if he just stuck to that, I think it would have had a totally different outcome for him. But instead, he almost felt like he had to dribble past 3 players to impress people. But he doesn't actually have to do all that sort of stuff. But anyway, Gonzo, can I get your final thoughts on the match itself? And then we'll wrap this up, please.
Yeah, just good exercise. Would have liked to see maybe a couple more young players, possibly, but particularly bearing in mind he plays, 2 separate teams, more or less. But obviously we've got people to come back. Fabianski didn't feature, of course. Fornals didn't feature as well. We still got strikers to come through. I think what you said in the first half was right. I think you'd see something very, very different if we'd have had Antonio on the right and Snodgrass hadn't been there. A little bit more dynamic. It's a little bit... it's maybe a little bit harsh for Antonio being up front when he didn't have all the best players around him, but he's giving everyone game time. That's what today was all about. It's never the best spectacle. You're looking for little glimmers, little pointers here and there, and that's what we've discussed. But I still do believe we've got a bit of a mouth-watering team when you take the best of that first half, the best of that second half, added to the new signings and some other players as well. I think there's a lot to look forward to, but there's still obviously plenty of fitness work left to do, with some players being way ahead of others in terms of fitness.
Charlie, your final thoughts, please.
Yeah, some things to certainly look at and think about over the rest of pre-season. Some performances where you look at them and you think, okay, that wasn't the best performance. How are you going to go for the rest of the season? For example, Snodgrass, you'd look at him for the rest of pre-season and say, have you lost a yard of pace, or is that just you're not up to fitness yet, or what? But that's the thing with pre-season. I think you can't draw conclusions, but you can certainly look at things which indicate what it might be going forward, be it the shape of the team, be it maybe specific attitudes of players, like you say, Diangana, seeing the person going, actually, I'm just going to take the ball past you, I'm going to skin you, I'm going to make you consistently tactically foul me, stuff like that. You can draw conclusions from that, and in that case, I am happy. I think we didn't create perhaps enough chances, but again, you saw glimpses from players that I wanted to see glimpses from mostly. For example, Wilshere, to make me confident and also incredibly excited going into the rest of pre-season.
Yeah, I can only echo you two. It's all about fitness and stuff. I'm not too fussed about the result. Although it was nice to win. I believe this is the first time we've won our first friendly pre-season for 6 years. I think Sam Allardyce was the last manager to win his first friendly of the summer. So it's little things like that help into it. But it was good to see Wilshere, Yarmolenko, Reid back, etc. And some of the youngsters that got their chance, took it. I thought they sort of said to Pellegrini, I'm worth giving another run out later on in this summer, etc. And 1 or 2 players that, even though it's a fan, I do think Pellegrini would be having a word with them and saying, hang on a minute, that was not good. What you put out there was just not good enough, friendly or not. It wasn't good enough. And there were some things that we'd done. I'm talking about Carlos Sanchez here, to be quite frank with you. There's some things he did. It's not a fitness issue. Like him losing the ball or getting caught on the ball or playing sloppy passes isn't a fitness thing. It's not it's just a lack of concentration or just not being a good enough type thing. And that's a little bit different. But anyway, good start from West Ham for the pre-season match. If you watched the game, let us know who impressed you. The formation 4-3-3 seemed to be Pellegrini's formation, and it's something I'm looking forward to seeing next, and how he starts to then bring out the partnerships later on this summer. I'm sure we're going to see his first choice midfield at some point. Who's going to be partnering the Declan Rice? And you'd have to say Jack Wilshere and Pablo Fornals are the 2 favourites at the minute. But let us know what you think. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll be back very, very soon. Catch you in a bit.